this should have been like one of my coming of age videos, but hey guys, welcome back. I look like I just woke up because I kind of sort of did. I was down for her first nap of the day and I am ready to kick out a video for you all. It's gonna be a get ready with me and a story time. So I hope that you guys enjoy. I just recovered from like a head cold. After our trip, I got like real bad congestion and just I feel much better now. So let's get into the video. Super excited to share this with you guys because, you know, not a lot of people know a lot about me. It's really cool to have so much layers to my life story. And yeah, so let's get into it. I'm gonna be putting on my makeup while I'm doing this video because I look terrible. But this is who I am. This is what I look like every day. So, you know, somebody like it. I'll start out first by doing my brows. And I've simplified my brow routine. I used to use an angled brush and brow powder to do my eyebrows. And I think I've ditched it. I think I went back to pencil and I'm using the Goof Proof Brow Pencil. This is super old, by the way. Let's start with the beginning of Jasmine. I was born in Woodbridge, Virginia. Wow, this is gonna get deep. What I recall my mom saying is that she actually was going to let my grandparents adopt me because they already had my two brothers and my parents were barely making it, so she didn't know if she wanted to have me anyways. But when she had found out that she was pregnant, my grandparents was like, no, don't give her away, like we'll take her. And these are my grandparents in Virginia. So my mom's mom and her husband, which is my step grandfather. So anywho, my mom's like, okay. So when I was born, my mom named me Shirley Alumbris Gold. And Shirley is my great grandmother's name on my step grandfather's side. And so my grandma felt like, well, if I'm gonna take on this girl, then she'll take the name of my mother-in-law. And anywho, that's who I was gonna be named after. Actually, I was named after her. That was on my birth certificate, Shirley Alumbris Gold. The time comes, I'm born, and my grandma reneges and is like, actually, we can't take care of her. Like, just go ahead and give her up. And so my mom, I guess the nurse, this is all according to my mother, I guess the nurse overheard their conversation and was like, oh, like I'll take her, you know, baby up for grabs, you know what I'm saying? My mom said it was like a white lady that wanted to adopt me. And I don't know how this all came about, but my dad was there and he was just like, no, fuck it. This is our child, let's just take her, you know, like we're gonna just take care of her. I don't know how all that came about, but that's what I heard. So he renames me Jasmine, but the thing is, it was already set in stone on my birth certificate. I was still Shirley Alumbris Gold, but I went by Jasmine Alumbris Thompson. Basically my whole life it was Jasmine Alumbris Thompson, but the problem with that was it was not legal. So I didn't know, here's a little side story. I didn't know that my name was Shirley until I think I was like in 3rd or 4th grade and I was taking my standardized, you know, state test, and the lady that wasn't my teacher that was administering the test kept screaming Shirley Gold. So I'm looking around like, I don't know who Shirley is, but she ain't here, y'all. Like, y'all keep screaming her name, she's not here. I remember my teacher, Miss Carlton, came up to me and was like, Jasmine, that's you. And I was like, who? She's like, that's you, Shirley. And I was like, my name's not Shirley. She's like, yes, it is. And I started crying because I was so confused because, you know, that's how you scar a child. I was like, what? And so she's like, you want to call your mom? And I was like, yeah, I fucking do. I call my mom at work and I'm like, Mommy, who's Shirley? Like, they keep calling me Shirley. And she was like, oh, that's you. Like, nonchalant. This is my whole life. My mom's so nonchalant about shit that I should know. It's like, oh, that's you. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? Like, my name's Jasmine. And she's like, well, it's a long story, but yeah, that's you. And anyways, let's get back on the subject. That's another story. So yeah, my dad names me Jasmine, but technically that's not my name. I don't know how old I was, but my mom and my dad said I was like a few weeks old, but apparently they were too down on their luck. They were poor. So my mom was like, you know what? I think I've squeezed my mother for all she's got here in Virginia. Let's go and mooch off my grandfather in California. So they decided to pack up the rinky-dink car that my dad had at the time, I suppose, and take their newborn plus my two brothers across the country to California. So from Virginia to California is where we went on our way. My mom said they didn't have a car seat or anything. She just rode with me in the front seat with me in her lap. We make it to California and I don't remember much. This is very vague for me, obviously, but I do know that we moved at least 4 times. I went to several schools, and by the time we left California, I was 9.5 years old, and my mom had just given birth to my sister. So I'm assuming from what I picked up, the reason why we had left California is because we were 4 kids total in the household and we were already struggling at that. So my dad decided to ship us off on a Greyhound bus back to Virginia. So we're just bouncing, you know, from place to place, from parent to parent, my mom's parent. And yes, we did that on a Greyhound. It was like a 3-day trip on a Greyhound bus, maybe longer. I don't really remember, but there's a lot of my childhood that I've blocked out. By 9.5, I was back in Virginia, which is crazy, right? Started out, I was born in Virginia, raised in California, and then moved back to Virginia. And that is where I resided until I was 18 years old. Brows are done. We moved around a lot in Virginia as well. We had to have moved at least 3 times in Virginia, 4 times. It wasn't because my dad relocated for work. It wasn't because anything. It wasn't for any prestigious reason. It was just because people need to get their stuff together. If you're a parent, really try to keep stabilization in your child's life. Try to be the role model that you wish that you had. And you know, don't ruin your children, man. Just don't ruin your children. That's all I gotta say. I come from a very dysfunctional household. And when I was nearing my late teens, you have parents in this world who don't agree with you growing up. They don't agree with you becoming an adult, and therefore they will go tooth and nail with you to fight for control. You know, they want to keep control over you, and rightfully so, when you're living underneath their roof. But that was something that I had dealt with, and me and my siblings had dealt with, all of us, which is fighting for control of ourselves and just enjoying life and not being able to ever. And in our household, that was like hard to come by, which is happiness. I'm a senior in high school, and I want to say that's when I started becoming rebellious, when I started feeling like, man, you know, when am I ever going to be able to do anything ever? Because my dad was so controlling and very protective, overprotective, and I never was allowed to do anything. You know, I only had one friend that I was allowed to go over to her house and spend the night. I've never been to a football game. I've never been to a school dance. I've never been anywhere. I went to maybe a couple field trips. We were unfortunately poor, so we didn't always have money. And I did have a lot of siblings that my parents had to take care of. So when I became a teenager, it became quite aware to me that it became quite obvious to me that like life was never really going to be great unless I made it great myself. And therefore, you know, what are you as a teenager, what are you going to do? You're going to go find something, anything to make you happy, right? I put on my primer. I always had little, you know, school boyfriends. I mean, who doesn't? And of course my dad never knew about them. I mean, he knew about some of them by accident. It wasn't because I told him. He would find out. And yeah, we moved into this one house, the last house that I resided in before I moved out of Virginia. There was a neighbor boy right next door to us, and he ended up taking a liking to me and vice versa. And he was nice. He was cool. He's a tad bit older than me, but by this time I was 18, and he was over all the time because he became friends with my dad, and my dad was just, you know, being a father figure to him and being nice. And that's why I was able to see him often. And besides, he was my neighbor. I think, so I was 18 and I think he was 20, 21. I can't really remember. He was a complicated little whippersnapper, and I guess perhaps could that have drawn me to him? Who knows? I swear I'm not into the bad boy type. He was, I guess, in so many words, a player, and that's not what attracted me to him. I think it was just the fact that he was there. He's not an ugly guy, so it was like, you know, easy to like him. I started talking to the neighbor boy, and we ended up being close. And he also had a sister. He also has a sister. Her and I became good friends, and that was cool. It was cool to just have that escape, you know, like besides my crazy dysfunctional ass family and dealing with my parents and their alcoholism and having to take care of my sisters like they're my own children. It was nice to like be able to, you know, talk to people in the neighborhood, because there was a few kids in the neighborhood that was around my age as well, and we would all get together and hang out. And this is around the time, yeah, my rebellious stage really started to come out. And I've always been so good and taking care of my parents and taking care of my sisters and still always abiding by my parents' rules, because I am a strong believer of, you know, as long as I live under their household, of course I'm going to abide by their rules and listen to them and respect my parents, as I should, you know. I wasn't a hard-headed child like that. But when I started on the down low talking to the neighbor boy, it was bad, because my dad specifically told me, like, don't mess with him. Like, this guy's not a good guy for you. Like, I will kill you if I find out that you're messing around with him. And I really think maybe that's one of the reasons why I pursued him too, because it was like off limits. And when you're a young kid and you're told not to do something, don't you do it. Maybe that was what enticed me, but I don't regret talking to him. He was a cool guy, and he's definitely not a guy that I would want my daughter to be around. So I understand my dad's perspective 100% in hindsight. Luckily, my parents raised me to respect myself and want more for myself and not settle. You know I like to bash my parents a lot, but one thing I can say about my parents is they really uplifted me as a child, and they constantly told me that I was better than everything and everyone. It's so sweet, you know, the way that my parents held me to a high standard and put me on such a high pedestal. I didn't have major insecurities. I mean, of course I had insecurities, who doesn't? But my parents built me up so well to be so confident, and I appreciate them for that, because, you know, they made me feel special. Me talking to the neighbor boy and having hidden boyfriends in high school anyways is just a thing, you know? It wasn't a big deal for me, you know? And I wasn't one to give a shit about guys that much anyways. There's always like this starstruck stage, but it wasn't like a guy wasn't gonna make or break me. I don't know if I could just credit that to just having my dad in my life. I don't know if that's what helps. And plus, my dad was such a hardcore advocate of, I don't want you with nobody like me. Who knows? But I just, listen, if I liked you, I liked you. You're lucky I gave you my time. But boy, I wasn't a boy crazy type of girl. That wasn't who I was. And I did end up losing my virginity to him. And I know that's a little cringy to say, but there's no shame in my game. I was 18 years old. And so, at least I waited till I was 18. Do I regret it? Yeah, because I didn't care about him, and I know he didn't care about me. So it just really sucks, because I hated that that's how it went down. Needless to say, when my dad inevitably found out about our relationship, or lack thereof, it wasn't really a relationship. It was just a thing that happened. My dad obviously flipped shit. My household was already so hectic. It was so hectic that when the shit hit the fan, I was like, man, I can't handle this. Like, I can't handle being in this household anymore. I can't handle my parents, and like I said, their alcoholism and everything else that was going in there, that was going on, that I literally had a major ultimatum to make, because my brothers had left home both when they were 15, and I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to stay, especially because I had my sisters, and like I said, I took care of them like they were my own. And so my goal was to, you know, graduate high school and go to community college and commute back and forth from home to school and get a job. My dad was so overbearing and controlling that it just didn't seem like that's what he wanted me to do. He literally would tell me like, no, you're just gonna be the babysitter, and you know, I don't want you to go to school, and I don't want you to have a job. That was like his biggest thing. He didn't want me to have a job. Like, I'm nearing an adult and I can't do adult things, and you never let me do anything anyways. So this really sucks to know, like, this is my life. This is going to be my life if I stay at home. And I was so dominated by my parents that although I was 18 and yeah, I still was treated like a little kid, and you know, yes, I was living underneath their roof. So I felt like this is it, you know, this is all that I had in store for my life. My dad found out about me and the next door neighbor boy. It was kind of like, man, what should I do? Because I know my dad's gonna give me hell for this. Should I just go? Should I leave? Or should I stay and be tormented about my mistake, my bad mistake that I made? I decided to leave. And my godbrother, which is the person who snitched on me about the whole situation any damn way, helped me leave my house. We ran away. Like, we ran away, legit. Just the clothes on my back and barely shoes on my feet. We ran away. Like, we scampered through the woods because my dad was like super irate and there was hitting involved and whatnot. So he helped me escape home, and from there I stayed with my godbrother and his mom until I transferred to Cortland High in a different county, and that is where I graduated high school. And the day after I graduated high school, my aunt, which is my dad's sister, had taken me in, and that is how I moved from Virginia to Michigan. So when people ask me, why did you move from Virginia to Michigan? I always say, oh, for school. And essentially it was because the pact that I made with my aunt was, if I come up to Michigan, you know, she's gonna help me get into college. I came up here the day after I graduated in June of 2010, and I've been here since. Before I close the video, let me do some takeaways. The takeaway for this particular story is it's choose yourself. Always choose yourself. I had to choose myself in this certain situation. I never intended on leaving home. I never intended on leaving my sisters behind because I looked at them as my own children. But I had to do what was best for me because I saw nothing in my future if I stayed in Virginia, because my dad was so overbearingly controlling, and he would have stopped me. Like, he didn't really want me to do anything. You know, he didn't even want me to have a license. He said that I had a car, but I never got to drive it. Like, it was just, I couldn't do anything. And I had to choose for myself. I didn't want to just leave home and not be shit. I literally left home and decided, like, okay, my aunt is giving me the opportunity to live with her because she says that she's going to lead me down the path that I need, that I deserve to go to, and that I need to go to. And I'm glad that I went with that. I literally prayed and was like, God, what should I do? Should I move with my aunt? Because my older brother also offered for me to live with him in Virginia. And my best friend offered to her parents allowed me to stay with them. And something told me, just go live with your aunt. I just felt like that was the better option. I felt like she was going to help me in a way that no one else could, and that she was going to give me the better opportunity. And I'm really grateful that I took that opportunity, and grateful for her giving me the opportunity, and with open arms. Put yourself first. Think of yourself in every way, all the time, and want what's best for you all the time, because nobody's going to love you and care about you and look out for you the way that you can look out for you. Meech always goes, what do you think that you would have been doing if you never moved from Virginia to Michigan? And I said, honestly, I probably have a couple of kids. I would have never went to college. I would have never had a good job. I probably would have been up under someone else's son. It wouldn't have been the life that I have now. The life that I've built myself now, like, This is what I prayed for. This is what I wanted. This is everything and more. I hope that you guys enjoyed my story time and got to know me a little bit more. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Take care.